In this video, we're going to go through a CFA Level 1 exam question on the topic of inventory write-down reversals. This is going to be a really easy one computationally, and it's actually going to be based on a scenario that we introduced in the prior question, which dealt with the subsequent valuation of inventory once it has been introduced into the balance sheet. So if you didn't watch the previous video, please go to the link which you'll find below this recording and be sure to watch that one and then come back to this one, as the scenario we're going to be doing is a follow-on scenario from the previous video. So be sure to do that. If you watched the previous one, welcome to this video. If this is something you want to get right, keep watching and let's get solving. So this is the question we're going to have a go at. The beginning is exactly the same as before. We've got a company reporting under IFRS. I'm not even going to read the whole of this scenario because I read it in the previous video. It's got two items of inventory, category 1 and category 2. But actually in this question, we're only going to focus on one of the categories, and that's category 1. The category 1 items over here in the previous video were written down to something called NRV. Now, we're told that in a subsequent period, Baracco plc still holds 800 units of category 1. The one I just highlighted over here. Seeing a rebound in market conditions, the company revises its estimate of the selling price associated with the unsold items to 24 each, with no change to the assessment of delivery expenses kept at €2 per unit. So essentially what we need to do is once again take a look at the comparison of cost and net realizable value. If you're not sure what a net realizable value is, go back to the previous video. I explained it there. So let's take a look at cost for category 1. Cost is still the cost at which these items were initially purchased. That was €20 per unit. We now have a revised estimate for net realizable value. So let me say maybe here, revised estimate. NRV is the estimated selling price minus costs, which you think you'll need to incur to make the sale happen, to make the sale possible. Because of the rebound in market conditions, the company has revised its estimate of the selling price associated with the unsold items to €24 each. So 24, but there is an adjustment with no change to the assessment of delivery expenses kept at €2 per unit. So that's going to be a minus €2 on a per unit basis, seeing as the company will need to cover these costs in order to sell the items. So that's 22. And now, well, you should know what the rule is. We should present our inventory items at the lower of cost and NRV. Now, cost is the lower of these two. However, previously, in the previous question, we had already written down our our category 1 inventory items. Let me just check what it was in my notes from the previous video. Well, it was written down to an NRV of 16.5 per unit. And this is where IFRS is different from US GAAP. IFRS is absolutely fine in terms of doing write-down reversals. So if you previously wrote down your items of inventory to NRV, but you subsequently find that there is a new base to which you can go up, because right now the comparison of cost and NRV reveals that the lower of the two is 20, it's absolutely okay to do a write-down reversal. So what we have in the title here, this is fine under IFRS, it's allowed. However, the big point to remember here is that it's not okay under US GAAP. US GAAP prohibits the reversal of previously write-downs in in relation to inventory. So what's going to be my fresh balance sheet value for the 800 category 1 items? That's the question being asked over here. What is the value at which the 800 category 1 items should be carried on Bracco's balance sheet? Well, it's no longer going to be this previous estimate of NRV. Let's kind of write it off as something that's irrelevant. The new value, the new carrying amount is going to be €20 per item times 800 units, which remain in our inventory. And that naturally gives €16,000 as the fresh total. Okay, we've got answer B over here saying 16,000. So let me say that that's the correct answer to the question.